Thank you. My name is Lamin Jai, and this is News Review. Coming up on the show today, UDP has taken a position on the rejection of the draft constitution by members of the National Assembly. The party held a press conference Wednesday afternoon. We will bring you an excerpt on the press conference there. But also, Gambians have also on Wednesday held a march to protest against maternal mortality. We have a report on that. Salih Tal, Mustafa Dabo, Shirifo Sonko will all join me, or will all be on hand to talk about, to discuss the rejection of the draft constitution there by the National Assembly. Before all of that, we will quickly do a review of the newspapers. I will do it together with Mustafa Dabo. Mustafa, thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So if you look at the papers today, it's the Standard and the Point. Their lead story, that's the Standard, of course, they're saying that parties clash over rejection of draft constitution. Massive development there. Let's see what the Standard is saying. At least 6 political parties have reacted to the sensational rejection of the draft constitution at its second reading at the National Assembly after it failed to secure the backing of 42 members. A total of 23 lawmakers yesterday voted against the draft constitution after days of debate that will be remembered for its bitter wrangling. Mustafa, what do you make of this? I mean, as a journalist, this is what happened yesterday. Members converged at the assembly only to vote down the draft constitution. Massive development.
Absolutely. I thought we all expected that it to go that way. What we didn't know was whether it was going to end at the third reading or at the second reading. But we all knew from the nature of things, or the way things are, even before it went to the National Assembly, we knew what the position of parties were on the draft, and we knew that we would be very lucky if it goes through the National Assembly. I think this was an open system.
Before the vote, what happened was there is this whole campaign that was rolled out for the MPs to really subscribe to this document and pass it. But clearly, they stood their ground. Those really that voted against it stood their ground. Their minds were already made up.
Absolutely. But that's why you saw. And then you have excuses like, don't allow Facebook to influence you. But of course, Facebook is your voters. If you don't allow your voters to influence you, then you're not a politician.
Another story on the Standard, Nyamina West by-election slated for November 7th. Finally, I think Nyamina West is going to a by-election there. The Independent Electoral Commission yesterday announced it will now conduct Nyamina West and Karijaga by-elections on 7th November after a long delay in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. The Nyamina West parliamentary seat became vacant following the death of Demba So of the GDC in January. The Karijaga ward election will be conducted to replace Alpha Khan, who resigned from the GDC and joined the National People's Party in March, forfeiting his seat in the process.
Long overdue, huh? I mean, the Nyamina.
What impact did really that have on the voting yesterday?
Well, because probably Demba So would have voted for the constitution. I don't know, but probably. But even if he does anyway, it makes no changes because we still have a deficiency of more than 2 or 3. So it would still not
make any much impact. UDP says politics of insults must end. The United Democratic Party has said it has now taken up the task of sanitizing the country's political space by employing means that would discourage politics of insults and smear mongering. The leader of the UDP, Hussein Dabo, caused quite a stir in some quarters early this week following confirmed reports that he had filed a complaint against a supporter of his former political prodigy, now turned rival. UDP now wants to make it their preserve to ensuring that the politics of insults is a thing of the past. What do you have to say? We really even have politics of insults in our politics.
Well, you see, when you're talking about politics, you're talking about interests. And when we talking about interests, we're talking about people, their food, their livelihoods, their school system, their everything, their life. So it cannot go without sentiment. And that's why we sometimes see it's toxic sentiment, sometimes it's sentiment that's well driven by intellect, but you have to have both. In any politics in US, in England, everywhere in the world, you have politics of sentiment. And often it does not only get to be expressed through the intellectual way. Sometimes you can have an outburst, which
sometimes
naturally lead to
okay, I think pretty much that's it, what the Standard is reporting on. Let's see, the point is also reporting on the, of course, the draft constitution rejection there, rejected over 116 million wasted. That is what the point is saying. Was the money really wasted?
It's not, absolutely not, because we have a draft and our draft is there and we will get it through somehow, probably. That's my hope. My hope is that this draft is not dead. It would just in some box and we would pick it up someday and just take it to the National Assembly back.
And take it to the National Assembly. Gambians to protest against rising maternal deaths. In fact, a protest took place today. What do you have to say about this whole narrative or claim that the maternal mortality is on the increase in the country?
I have a problem with that. I think before we rush to conclusions like that, we need to make certain basic things. One, we need to investigate and establish why are women dying. Two, during birth.
Yes.
Because no one has to actually die to breathe life. If you have to die to get birth to someone else,
yes,
what's the point of giving birth anyway?
Yes.
You know, so we have to investigate that, but also more important, we have to also establish, are we paying attention to it now,
yes,
or is it increasing?
Increasing.
You know, we have to be scientific in our approach to this, but often, you know, we're driven here by sentiment.
Another thing that is on the point, really interesting, has to do with those people that are from the UK, the US, and elsewhere, say the Caribbean, that are right now at the moment living in the country. Yesterday also launched this whole organization pushing that they want to be citizens. They were doing it right in the middle of when the MPs were voting down the document that they say didn't capture. Yeah. Do you really think they are making a point?
Perfect timing, because you know, Constitution is our legal document. It's no one's legal document. It's supposed to create an environment where all of us are going to live and protect our interests. And those people, I feel it for them.
Yes.
I mean, so these people are people who probably were potentially the sons of our great-great-grandparents, and they were forced out of this country and kidnapped and taken into trafficked, human trafficking. They are not descendants of slaves because they never agreed to be slaves. So we should feel it for them. I think personally we should feel it for them, and you know, they also have the rights to be granted citizenship in Africa.
So the show will continue there. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Now, Gambians today held a march past to protest or to call for action against maternal mortality. Gambian women have in recent weeks been dying while giving birth, raising this whole new concern really over the issue. Fatou Kamara tells us more.
Today's protest attracted people from all regions across the country. Sukai Jaju is one of them, and she came as far as North Bank.
Concerning about women's life matter. Karunia give not bank ajam fatale. Mona ma ode from the ajata nyel puru kanana. Kadun tol not bang tole panka difficulty face. Tole panka difficulty face simply because ferry crossing is always a problem. Ferry crossing mu problem oti. Ni difference soto pour que irifa Banjul ni atara ferry jida ikatale fo farafenye. Ani fanan tole not bang fanan mo ngaro ne silo nyi amambete ya. Jani ni difference soto kata eso ko jani be futara je wala ka koleya. Wala sa ngabere nyi ko be kere pour ka musol sementu yadi. Ajata nyi ko kula ngabula ka bona fon not bang. Prosana fo sere la kana ka nyi protection nyi atel. Me ko masama to me daniro kala masakunda e pura se makoy ambulance la. Ambulance so soto nyawnya bon ton not bang ko la nyata ka soto. Because ndol na sate mun jogo bakalar to ko bakalar ni ngari faran soto e ka ambulance so call all the way from Albreda. So ide mari katara wolto e wi katara ko le anyi face ka janne ambulance so binana fam fo yeri fa ko te futa eso kono mu problème molde ni futa eso fana ke iri fa ko te Banjul ni ma feri fana soto je taraje ni be bat condition ke iri fa fara fenya distance jam fatala so rat nan to fana me dan lo kala man sakunda pour se makoy not bank la ambulance ay sia.
The organizers, one from Bamacare Foundation and Gambia Women Lives Matter, has this to say.
Yokuyata bakele nyinkaro ngani ko abe caring Gambia le but this nyinkaro musol be ni ko yaku bale soto wala tina bi tol be fintita nan jang ngombe peaceful match le kala pour que diamu man sakunda e kana ni ko yal tandila because nyinkaro muso min fata danaka na man tambi 15 la ay 20 male tol be je fa ngom bukalon musol be complain la iko l'hôpital nolto bagasol tije fentije hani yelo na banda is a problem ni tata l'hôpital nolto no sol beje ibuka musol danko ni musol fata je buke danko so wobe min so wobe boy non bondi non tolkan ngalle ko musol musuka ene ka follondi ibe nyoma ko e kan ñu lungol ko momo solte fenko la ko yelo la ikam Bamake mbalin cham America ika contact le aning nga ka fol mi londi ke mako e bakere bari ntolte nyin ko be kala no we cannot do it wala nam filte nan jam pour que diamu man sakunda e mako e ka diamu man sakunda pour yam mako e be dani la make forceti musol be diamu le pour yamol mako e l'hôpital nolto ya docteur kendol fe nam mole milialon ko 40 ans ya long mu ne be keri bat nyin no sindigol mi yalon ko malong mu ne be keri l'hôpital nolto ni taraje ibe mol disrespect la ibe cool kala mbem man sakunda be dan la yem makoy alana la kilaye nyin ni ku ya warta bakele mol la sister soul do la musol mol be fala every single day be fala mune problem oti yellow doro every single day yellow this has to stop.
Men did not sit back and watch the women do this alone. As this man said, there can never be a complete man without a woman.
I think, it's not only women fight, this fight is for all of us. Considering the fact that, there is no us without them. Let me put it that way, because it's us, it's two-way round, So if we have seen recently what is happening in this country, we all know what is responsible for it. So we have to blame government at some point, but we should also look at what is available at our, homes, the support that we are having from our family level. Some people don't even want to support their wife when they're into that status. Considering the fact that, quite a lot of things are, actually the cause of this, maternal mortality, there in this country. So recently, during, this COVID-19, quite a lot of people realized that, the death has increased. One of the factors could be, sometimes you go to certain hospitals, the nurse attendants or some of the authorities don't want to, interact with you because they have that, feeling that, you might have corona. So I think, maybe that's the case. One of the reasons why the maternal mortality is increasing in this country.
This girl is yet to get married and she expressed fear of pregnancy and labor.
I am not part of the organization, but at least I came out to show the support and then the scare that we have, because the death rate is increasing. So obviously we come out to tell the doctors and nurses to take care of our women, because as a young girl, not yet married, so it's been something that scared me. I am scared and worried, so I decided to come out, and they put straight. Yeah.
Gambia Women Lives Matter protesters complain on the behavior of nurses in hospitals, and some of them give a hint of their experience.
nkaje na musol ka bata nyame lopitanol to ani wulu to nginang sango ayem bala fa ayem mira to nyalan tol fu dinde ngol letin tol dol tata la fokko na nyana ni lulu bar ndingol men mina kan san tenten dol fango beje nin ce wali ngini ka fo ne mfatal fente lebo koleya ani operational men be kerin sai wala ke kija fara dol beje kono bela imonyol ni limewo tingoyo ma tata loptano ikatwa kolle jebe nyaadi sai nin kono bele be mirala anu mon bete hada madi ngoto sako muso me yalan ka be sitiri ibe mirala foni wuluta ibe fala ban fote fala abala fa warta
na wulud lal ye ma koy wolto pour wole ragre hani mam fe so to bar wulud la ni wo ragre to doron wo ku matale because ku wo ku ko ya ta tele ko ya to ko bet wulu wona ne man dia par ni mota ta wulu wala nyen ta ka tele para fay kabiri nya boy te ñom muso kam dra na ta lebo ita enta para fasto la way par sai musu jamani ta lebo ikala fi gele timita dina musolti musol nyen ta ka tele ye para fasto ñom musoni ndanga dingo soto le dim fulanga wala soto par enta wadi fulo be mo operation ol par na di kilo labanta min na operation ol sai tu 11 ye sai wala soto mbasiri ñun lami fonto tan na operation da man tara kende yaare mbasiri ñun sur lami fonto tan na operation da fa man tara korak ndanga wuluwo di ala dingo di ndamba ta bare man ta ñini la
kenna dim ko tan ni dron ko kadu musola mun detu an ala so di musuna ni la ngaji ni to fana ta di same situation auto aben ni minare
génn si nag àddina yëpp jigéen yëpp génn si di xeex lii nga xam ne dafa métti te daw yaram jigéen ñi wasin di faatu ak seen doom dafa métti ku nekk xam ne ni juróom-ñeenti weer métti nga toog doo nelaw doo lekka bu la neex yaa ngi xalaat ne man kat su wasin jotee dama muccale loolu la doon ñëpp di ñaan yàlla ku nekk soo biiree da nga naan yan naa muccate muccale nga dem nag intoona nga dem lopitaan nga ñàkk sa bopp ñàkk sa doom dafa métti ñuy laajte na lan mooy résine bi li tax nit ñi bu ñu wasinee dee ak seen doom yi loolu la ñoo laaj ñi nekk l'hôpital docteur si ak nurse yi ñun loolu la ñoo laajte lan mooy problème bi li tax nit ñi di wasin di dee loolu la ñoo laajte loolu la ñoo jooy because da ngaa gis ne boo demee l'hôpital da ngaa gis ne sax pour nga gis docteur yéen dafa nekk problème wa nga gis nurse dafa nekk problème lii problème moom mooy da ngaa ñëw sa métit pour nga ñëw ñu dimbale la sax dafa nekk ak dañoo def lu leen neex soog laa ñëw atteindre understand nga xam nga loolu dafa doy waar si ku nekk si diggante ku nekk xam naka la soo dee jigéen rek xam nga naka la wasin mel understand nga man lii dama si jaar moo tax tey ma bàyyi lépp lu ma def génn si understand nga dama si jaar ma dem nekk si suma weer pour wasin dem noos bi ne ma next week di nga wasin nekk suma doom bi dee na si suma biir bi dafa doy waar yàlla rek moo ma dimbali kon dama doon dee soo dañoo ñaan nguur gi ñu gëstu lopitaan yi def fa docteur qualified loolu la ñoo ñaan nguur ñu dimbale ñu ca yàlla tax ñu defal ñu docteur si qualified nurse qualified ñu dimbale jigéen ñi.
I was on my Zoom meeting and realized it was a protest. And what is the protest about? You know, women life matters. I was like, oops, okay. So I was really in a hurry to finish and, you know more about it. So as soon as I was done with my meeting, actually I even logged out before everybody logged out of the Zoom meeting. I looked and realized this was the cause. I was like, okay, as a woman, I shouldn't be left behind. So I quickly, did what I needed to do, jump in my car and rush to come and meet up with them. So I'm really, really happy that I'm here to witness and support as a woman and as a mother, because the cause, I think, is worthy. Women are tired at this point in time that they had to get up themselves and telling people enough is enough, we need help, something needs to be done. So people need to listen to it. The authorities in charge need to listen and really intervene and do the needful to address this situation. And that's the reason why I'm here. Like the Olaf will say, lo boka bul har ñu bolé la ci. As a woman, as a mother, foguma ne warna tok har kuma o li ci luma bokal la li luma ñor la luma sahar la motaxit ma ñew pour support.
Sa ndingol men kanadum ifele mon son futula fente hakela ñim position o membe keri. Fente wulu ko la ya ke mira wala. Sani me kilim fula ke doro waye daha. Wala kilim fula ye operate. Ibo mo operate la courant ko vip. Ye fa. Ye dol fara. Asamo ye fa. Komi men si fa ke na sister la baka ka fo me cha kudiba. Yo operate janne. ASB. Asamo la condition o chenta ya samba banjul wol ko ya murundi ASB. Dina wandi dungo tuisan ton na banjul ni latru kunda jamantema. Ye nyaka sala. No so la neglect. Fo wandi dungo fata. To nyalem
Gambian Women Lives Matter campaign started on social media and it gained weight and attracted huge number of Gambians both in and outside of the country as they complain that there is a race on the death rate of maternity mortality, adding that the government should step in and do the needful. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatou Network News Review.
Watanbe, brought to you by Afrisa.
Be part of the amazing conversations with Gambia's greatest minds and personalities. Get ready to be entertained, inspired, and motivated on the Watanbe platform. Plus, stand a chance of winning the shopping of your life. Call or SMS 1010 for $3 is only to win cash prizes and a free shopping spree.
Join Watanbe live on GRTS and social media on Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Kailin New Watan.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back. UDP has blamed President Adama Barrow and his government for the draft constitution's failure at the National Assembly. At a press conference held at the party leader's office on Pipeline, their leader, that's Usainu Dabo, did not mince his words. Let's take a listen really to what Mr. Dabo said earlier today.
The Barrow administration, upon assumption of office in 2017, commenced the nation's transitional justice process and established key reform commissions, one of which was the CRC. The CRC has since put in relentless efforts to adopt a constitution which is reflective of modern democratic constitutional standards and which additionally adapted comparative standards to the Gambian socio-political, legal, and religious context. The final draft of the Constitution sought to address gaps and challenges that have immensely affected progress of the Gambia's governance system for more than 2 decades. It is quite disheartening that the tireless efforts of the Commission and its members for the past 3 years has been made futile due to the indifference of the current administration. It is even more disturbing that the government spent $160 million to fund a reform process they unjustifiably brought to an ill-fated end. The Commission worked extensively at every stage of the drafting process, seeking out the opinions of Gambians across the entire spectrum in and out of the country, studying best practices in other established democracies, and exerting great effort to come up with a document that broadly reflected the considered views of the Gambian people. The Commission did its job within the prescribed time and submitted to the President as directed by the CRC Act. Not once after receiving the draft had the President taken a moment to address the Gambian people about the significance of this national priority. The Barrow administration, upon assumption of office in 2017, commenced the nation's transitional justice process and established key reform commissions, one of which was the CRC. The CRC has since put in relentless efforts to adopt a constitution which is reflective of modern democratic constitutional standards and which additionally adapted comparative standards to the Gambian socio-political, legal, and religious context. The final draft of the Constitution sought to address gaps and challenges that have immensely affected